Hello Oracles! We had an awesome live stream today discussing a lot of different things, so I'm going to break down a lot of what we talked about in several different videos over the next couple of days. And so one of the big things that we talked about was I've been getting a lot of information lately about oil and how this is their last-ditch effort to cling on to whatever profits they can before the world is no longer dependent on oil. So just today, we received word that OPEC has decided to cut oil production by 100,000 barrels per day come October. So we knew that they were supposed to be bumping up production here in September, and now they're cutting production in October. So we have been seeing gas prices coming down. We now have a few articles that I'm going to go over in a minute with you guys discussing how we're going to see this transition from oil over to EVs. And now oil is not going to go away entirely. So I've had discussions with many of you guys in the comments. So it's not that oil is going to go away. Oil is used in way too many things in the world for it to go away entirely. It's more about our dependence on oil going away. And even Elon himself said that, at least in the near term, we can't get rid of oil. We still need it. We need it to function right now. EVs are not in a place where they can take over and take the place of where oil is. We still need it. So in the near term, unless we open up some nuclear power plants or other things right now, we still need oil. It's going to happen. But we are going to see this transition happen over the next decade. And one of the things that I had seen in an article that my friend Tony had sent me was about how inefficient oil is. And I've got the link down in the description below. It's from Yale Climate Connections. And they were discussing how inefficient oil is and how in a traditional ICE vehicle, 80% of the gas you put into your car is burned off and not actually used to move your car forward. Only 16 to 25% of the gas that you put in your car, depending on how efficient that vehicle is, only 16 to 25% is actually moving your vehicle forward. So on the live stream, I had it all broken down. If you guys want to check it out, I'll put the link down in the description also, showing the actual article and all of the diagrams that they used. But a significant chunk of the oil is just burned off in heat, and then you have other portions of the gas that are put into your car that are used to try and get rid of that heat. So the majority of the gas you put in your car isn't even used to move it going forward. Now when it comes to an EV, 87 to 91% of the electricity you put in your car is utilized to move your car forward. Significantly more efficient. Not perfect, but when you're going from 16 to 25% to 87 to 91%, way more efficient. And when comparing EVs to ICE, charging an EV is equivalent to $1.41 per gallon of gasoline. And here in the US, we're burning about 8.9 million barrels of gasoline per day, and only 1.8 million barrels of that is actually used to move a vehicle forward. So not only can we cut down on the amount of gas and oil that is needed, but we can be so much more efficient in the future and have everything be cleaner as well. So this is a great transition that we're going over to. And then an argument is made, well, hey, the power that we're getting for the EVs is dirty because it's coming from coal power plants and this and that. Well, my argument is always, well, why are we just living with dirty grid? Why don't we clean up the grid? Pretty simple and straightforward. We're cleaning up the vehicles that are on the road. Let's clean up the grid. And in the process of cleaning up the grid, if you replace gasoline with hydropower or with any other renewable energy source like solar or wind, you're going to be reducing the energy usage by 75%. So significantly less energy to just function and have our transportation running on a regular basis. And Ezer over on Twitter tweeted out about how EV adoption, when it hits that 15 to 20% mark, is going to make gas stations unprofitable because they're going to lose 20% of their profits. And they don't make a lot of money on the gasoline as it is. A lot of their revenue and profit comes in from, the different snacks and things that they sell within the store. They do get the majority of their profits from the gas, but just because of the volume. But if they aren't selling as much gas, they are going to become unprofitable. This is something I actually discussed in an exponential growth series that I did last year. I am going to be doing a new one, but I will put a little link in the corner of this video for you guys to check out, discussing how we're going to see this transition. And when you're looking at signs for how EV adoption is progressing over the decade, you can take a look strictly at gas stations. You've probably seen it yourself, how gas stations, especially on the highway, started having, EV charging stations popping up. A lot of Tesla charging stations around by me, you see those. And then all of a sudden on the local ones, some local gas stations start to have EV charging stations. These are the ones that I see are going to survive the longest because they are making this transition. Those who are holding out and not putting EV charging stations in are going to go to the wayside. As soon as oil is no longer being profitable for them because EV adoption has gotten to that 15 to 20% mark, they're going to be fading out and going away. And we're going to see the transition from EV charging stations and gas stations to become just EV charging stations. And I think by the end of the decade, we'll be at a point where EV charging stations having gas pumps at them will be a rarity, because for the most part, everything is going to be EV charging stations. Now, by the end of the decade, Elon himself says, worst case scenario, half of all vehicles sold will be EVs. I have a feeling it's going to be significantly more than that, but there are still going to be ICE vehicles on the road. They still need gas. So gas stations are still going to exist, but I think they are going to be the minority come the end of the decade. And so seeing how OPEC is, trying to reduce the barrels of oil that are going out there to bring the price of their oil back up again is just telling me that they are in desperation mode, trying to squeeze out as many profits as possible. It's not like this is going to happen next year. It's probably going to be a 5 to 10 year transition for all of this to happen, but they see it coming, so they're doing everything they can to cling on, because when it happens, it's going to happen quickly. And so they're doing these things, so it stinks. And we have a lot of political manipulation going on, people with money and power just trying to manipulate the entire world and the economies to do what they want so that they can be in power as long as they can. It's disgusting. I don't like it. Unfortunately, there's not a lot we can do, but as EVs transition over, we are going to see this happening and take place, and it's going to be a wonderful feeling in a decade from now. And so now with this news about OPEC coming out, I have a strong feeling we are going to see a little bit of red in the market tomorrow. On the morning video, we'll discuss it. We'll take a look at it and see what's actually going on. But as of the time of this recording, futures aren't even out yet, so I don't know what we're going to be looking like for the morning. But based on this news, probably not going to look good. Reason being, when you're going to be cutting oil prices going up, commodity prices going up, inflation goes up. So President Biden tried to have their talk with Saudi Arabia. Seemed like it may have worked, but not as well as we had wanted. Now it kind of seems like it's going in the other direction. Maybe this actually comes to fruition and they increase oil output post-election. Don't know. Bruno in the comments happened to mention that he thinks that we're going to see this going through May of 2023 when we have the G7 conference. Could totally be true. Maybe that's what's going to go on and we see it change at that point. Don't know. Nobody knows the future. Just some data points to look at and some timing of things. But we may see that red in the market tomorrow. We are still on our downward trend for Tesla. We had discussed that all on the live stream as well. This downward trend seems like we're following the channel very perfectly, coming down to around that $245 mark. We'll see what happens at that point, hoping that maybe we're going to consolidate. So I'll be paying attention to when we get to that point, see if we start to consolidate and maybe trade sideways, waiting for a breakout or a breakdown. And then we'll follow at that point whatever the news and sentiment are in the macro environment and for Tesla. Seems like Tesla's specific sentiment coming out is going to be very positive. We have a lot of information that I'm going to go over in the morning about Tesla demand, Tesla production, Tesla credit ratings. So a lot of that I'll go over in the morning about future catalysts for the stock to do very well come the end of Q3 and beginning of Q4. But in the meantime, we are still on this downward trend. So the way I am viewing it is this is an amazing buying opportunity. If OPEC causes the market to go red in the morning, I'm going to be buying. We're on this downward trend. I will be buying all along the way on this downward trend, anticipating that we are going to skyrocket to the moon in the fourth quarter. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. How long do you think it's going to take for oil to be pushed out by EV adoption? How long do you think it's going to take for EV adoption to hit that 20% mark and then 30, 40, 50%? Do you think it's going to take until the end of the decade for EV adoption to hit 50%, or do you think it's going to happen significantly earlier than that? And if so, what year? Thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate all of your support and feedback. If you have not subscribed, please do so down below. Sign yourself up for notifications. I am over on Twitter at OracleTim1. I share all of the latest Tesla news, pertinent stock market information, and all of my daily trades. We do have a Discord chat. That link is down in the description. And if you'd like to support the channel any further, we do have a Patreon. That link is also in the description. Thank you so much. Have a great one.